¡Se acabó el aburrimiento! Estás en sintonía con planeta.com. Es el sitio oficial de la lucha libre. ¡Gózatelo!
Muy buenas a todos los seguidores de Planeta Wrestling. La semana pasada os ofrecimos una entrevista exclusiva con Kevin Owens, con el campeón Intercontinental. Lo que os traemos ahora son las preguntas que hicieron los distintos medios de comunicación en esa entrevista, porque también estuvieron invitados medios de los Estados Unidos, como la cadena de televisión ESPN, medios de Francia, medios de la India. Fue una rueda de prensa con los principales medios de comunicación de los países, y es un honor poder haber estado invitados a esta super rueda de prensa que dieron. Así que aquí os traemos algunas de las mejores respuestas que dio Kevin Owens a las preguntas de nuestros compañeros de la prensa. Disfrutad.
Not really. You know, I just try to go out and give the best show possible, whether it's a title on the line or not. You know, like me and Dolph Ziggler, at the Fast Lane were second match of the night, and it was for the Intercontinental title, but it could have been 8 matches on the card that night, and not for the Intercontinental. We would have the same kind of match. You know, we left it all out in the ring. And I personally feel like we stole the show that night, and that's because of how proud we are of what we do, and we're both trying to work really hard to stand out and to be the person that the fans talk about at the end of the show. And you know, I feel like pretty much everyone in WWE has the same mindset, regardless of you know, the match being for a title or not. Yeah. I feel like AJ is really not on my level. I think he needs to put his teeth in WWE a little before he can think of even coming after somebody like me. I mean, he just got here. He's pretty new. He's a bit of a rookie. I feel like I've been, you know, showing the WWE Universe for 9-10 months now my superiority and my, you know, how dominating I am as a, you know, Intercontinental champion. I was NXT champion, and I've accomplished so much more than he has. I feel like, you know, before he can even think of coming after me, he needs to get a decent haircut first of all, and then, you know, get a couple victories and get some time in WWE, and then I'll entertain the idea of maybe, you know, stepping into the ring with him when I feel like he deserves to be in there with me. More of a track record of wins and losses, you know, as far as title contention goes. You know, like Raw last night saw Dean Ambrose come out and challenge Triple H to a world title match, and Triple H at the end of the night said that he would give it to him simply because Dean Ambrose got, you know, on his nerves. He got under his skin. I personally don't feel Dean Ambrose deserves that match at all, but I understand Triple H giving in to him because you want to, you know, anytime you're around Dean Ambrose, you want to put a beating on him because that's just the kind of person he is. So I understand the motivation behind Triple H accepting the title match, but I don't think Dean Ambrose deserves it, especially as much as I would, for example. If I were in control, I would just, you know, maybe keep track of who wins and who loses and make sure that counts when it comes to getting title opportunities. Okay. I'm sure we're going to have to, you know, settle it properly. Like you said, we each have a count of victory on the other, but as far as what it's like to face a man that size, you know, I have to say yesterday he hit me with a punch in the corner that if you watch on TV doesn't look like it would do much damage, but the size of his hands, I think people need to understand. It's pretty much the size of my head, and I would say almost knocked me out with what. I watched it on video, and I remember the punch. I remember the punch specifically, and it doesn't look like much, but it rocked me probably more than anything has rocked me in any of my matches in the last 15 years. So just the sheer power of him is very. You know, it's something that you can't help but be impressed by, and I'm just glad I got out with my face in one piece. You know. The actual place is what I'm talking about. You know, I remember when Cody Rhodes brought back that version of the Intercontinental title. You know, at that point, I had nothing to do with WWE. I was just a everyone else, I was excited to see that version of the title come back. So now to get to actually have in my position and be Intercontinental champion, it's pretty special. So I guess I owe Cody on that one. I can't say that we were close friends ever, but we've known each other for a very long time. And when I was wrestling on the independent scene, he was already a very respected, sort of top guy on the independent scene, and he was viewed as a veteran and obviously one of the best in the world already at that point. And he didn't have to necessarily be nice to somebody like me who was just kind of starting. And plenty of people on the independent scene, plenty of the guys that were viewed as top wrestlers weren't nice. They didn't go out of their way to treat us nicely, and Bryan always did, and that always meant like a lot to me. And he's somebody who everyone in the locker room in WWE, and every locker room I've ever shared with him on the independent scene, everyone always had the utmost respect for him because of the way he treated people, and obviously because of how incredible he was in the ring. And it's a shame to see him retire, but it's what's best for him. And if I felt the need to tell him that, I put it out on Twitter so that everybody could see it, because I feel like people needed to know that. But I also made sure to tell him, privately as well, how much I appreciated everything he did for us, and it's the least I could do. I mean, what makes it real special is that when I was a kid, I would have the toy belts, the toy titles, the replicas, the foam belts, and the one that I always liked the most, the Intercontinental title. Anytime I beat my pillow in one of our matches, I would win the Intercontinental title. So the fact that I get to be Intercontinental champion today, if anything, is it's pretty cool for that kid that I was, imagining, fantasizing about being Intercontinental champion one day. And the coolest part is that the design of the Intercontinental title now, the title I have in my possession right now, is very close to the original design. Not original design, but to the design that I had, when I was wrestling, in my basement against my pillows when I was a kid. That foam replica that I had, it looks almost the exact same. So that's just a pretty cool thing. Yeah, no, I mean, I really, a wrestler being Canadian didn't necessarily help in them being, my favorite or anything. I was actually a big Owen Hart fan, but I wasn't a Bret Hart fan at all, growing up, because I guess what it was is I had an older brother as a kid, and, I kind of felt the same way Owen did, as far as his older brother goes. So I related to Owen almost. Now years later, obviously I have a very different outlook on Bret Hart and everything he did in wrestling and how talented he was in the ring. And, one of the best of all time. Everybody knows that. But, just because he was Canadian didn't mean that I liked him. I was just, it didn't really play a factor in it. I'll be honest, I really don't like that word, because I feel like a lot of people use it and don't really know what it means. I don't even really know what it means. I never connected with people who had outlandish characters, if you will, as much as I connected with the people who stayed true to themselves, which is why I was the biggest Stone Cold Steve Austin fan there was, because I'm a no frills kind of guy. So I think whatever would have happened if I was wrestling in the 80s would have been pretty much close to what you see now, because, I don't know, that's just who I am, and that's what I've always responded to. Genuine characters, if you want to put it that way. So I think that's the way I go.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot.
There's little things like me and Sami Zayn, for example, are the only two Quebec wrestlers on the roster currently. And we have been the only two for quite some time. There hasn't been a Quebec wrestler on the roster for a very long time before us. And we headlined the NXT Takeover special, in February of last year, and I remember realizing that it was the first time ever that two wrestlers from Quebec headlined a televised, pay-per-view of sorts, WWE event. It wasn't a pay-per-view per se, but it was a live special on the WWE Network. It was the first time that two Quebec wrestlers faced each other in a match of that magnitude in WWE. So that, there's little things like that will kind of pop into my head and make me feel like, oh wow, this is pretty special. But I don't really put that much stock into where I fit in as far as like the list of Canadian or Quebec wrestlers that have been in WWE. As far as Quebec wrestlers go, honestly, I feel like I'm already at the top of the list. But as far as Canadian wrestlers, I'm nowhere near the top of the list. But it doesn't really matter to me if I am. What I care about is to give people a lasting impression on any show I'm at. Whether one day people talk about me as the best Canadian wrestler of all time, which honestly is unlikely considering the competition I have in that category, it doesn't really matter to me. I want to be remembered, and I think I will be remembered. That's something people talk about at the end of the night, because WrestleMania, as everyone knows, is a huge spectacle. Everybody's going out there trying to steal the show. Everyone's going out there hoping that they're going to be the thing that people talk about at the end of the night, and I want to be in the discussion, and that's what matters to me. So whether it's as Intercontinental champion or not, but it will be because nobody's going to take it from me, or whether it's in a singles match or in a multi-man match or it's a tag team match, whatever it is, I want my part to stand out, and I'm sure it will because that's what I thrive on. Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy ride. I feel like I've accomplished, not really accomplished, but I feel like I've lived, in less than a year, I feel like I've lived what some WWE superstars live over 5 or 6 or 7 years or even an entire career. So, I've been part of like so many pay-per-views, and I've been in the ring with John Cena, Dean Ambrose, and Randy Orton, and Chris Jericho, and all those guys, like you said, and Roman Reigns, like all the top names. And, I fight against all of those guys. I've been Intercontinental champion twice already. I feel like, I've already done so much that I dreamed to do for 20 years, when I wanted to be the WWE superstar, but there's so much left to accomplish, and there's so much left to do. So, it's all very exciting. And I'm pretty proud of everything I've done so far, and I'm really looking forward to the next 5, 6, 10 years. Who knows how long I'll be doing this for, but I'm really enjoying the ride.